Good morning, Singapore. It's Glenn and the Flying Dutchman. Andre and Shaun are here as well. And we have our guest every Tuesday, Dr Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room. Good morning, Jerry.
Morning.
Good morning. So, Jerry, this morning we're talking about parenting and in particular words and expectations. I'm going to ask this question again for those that missed it. Is it about words coming from the parent or words coming from the child? The expectations are from the parent or from the child? What are we talking about?
So mainly we're going to talk about words and expectation from the parent, but because the child doesn't live only with the parents, we're going to spill over a little bit into the community as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we deal with this?
Okay, we're going to start with the parents. So we've got 3 parents on screen here. You know, what does being a parent mean? And the listeners can write in as well, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to think of words. So in psychology, we look at associations. So when you think of the word parent, you know, what words kind of pop into mind? I'm going to shoot the 2 non-parents today.
Okay. Extraordinary comes to mind. Extraordinary, because I do respect parents. You know, I observe them and I think about what they have to go through on a daily basis, you know, at various stages. And I think it is the toughest job, I think. You know, so extraordinary, that comes to mind when it comes to parents.
For me, it's stressed because I've observed them and then I notice them on a day-to-day basis and I see that they work very hard and they're very stressed.
Interesting. I see, when I think parenting, I see responsibility. I see guidance.
He's so cool now. I bet you when he first became a parent, he wanted to kill himself.
Almost did many times, actually.
Now
Almost
he can.
did
Now in Chinese, we'll say homia already. You know? Yeah, the kids are all married, out of the house. You know, he's enjoying himself now with Michelle. You know, they've done their part. You know, raised their kids well.
Paid their dues.
You know, I'm sure this is something you, Jerry, and Andre are looking forward to. You know, when your kids are all grown up, independent.
Who knows?
But you know, your kids can grow up and get married, but you never stop being a parent.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously not.
That's true.
It doesn't stop.
That's true.
You know?
How about Andre? Do you want to give it a go?
Sure. Probably the greatest challenge of my life.
Okay.
A challenge.
Okay.
Fun one.
Huh?
A fun one.
A fun challenge. Okay, you quickly save your soul there, right? So our words guide us. So even as a parent, what we tell ourselves is very important. So all of you on screen will not come and see me because of parenting. But we have many parents that come here and the first thing that they say, it is very tiring. You know, it is sometimes when they are pregnant. So we see the prenatal mummies and they go, oh my God, my life is going to change. You know, my time is not mine anymore. I can't do the things that I want. Now, words like that repeated enough, you know, you start to internalize it and it's very hard to break out of that cycle. So what we tell ourselves becomes very, very important. So when Glenn says, you know, they are extraordinary, you know, he's going to be an extraordinary parent.
I told you.
Yeah. Jean's very lucky. Just had to pull her in, right? Both her early in the morning. And, it's fun challenge. I agree with you. And even though Shaun says it's stressful, he goes, yeah, but I'm looking at it and he's contemplating. It is a challenge for him. So it's not like a huge stretch. So it's very exciting with what we tell ourselves and the platform that we give ourselves.
Okay.
It's interesting because when I went into parenthood, the first thing I did was think back to my childhood and, right or wrong, the mistakes I thought my parents made with me. And I vowed to never make those mistakes. So things like I was brought up in a very spoilt environment. And that's something I didn't want for my kids. I was a kid, if I opened my mouth, I got it. I didn't have to earn anything. And that's something I didn't want for my children. My dad worked like a dog. And I always said, yes, I will work hard, but I will always have time for my kids. So these were things that I thought about as I went into parenthood. And the other thing, when it comes to words, I failed a few times. I have to be upfront about this. But I tried to never, ever break a promise. If I said we were going to do something, hell or high water, we did it. I mean, I failed once or twice, obviously. I mean, no one's perfect. But yeah, that was a big thing to me. The idea of telling your child that they're going to do something or they're going to experience something, and then you don't make it happen. That's really bad.
I really love it because what FD said is responsibility and guidance. So he defined responsibility himself. And when you guide, it doesn't mean that you're perfect. And I love the fact that you fall and you acknowledge that you fall. Because children need to know that it is okay to fall, it is okay to fail. And that's something that sometimes we forget because, the traditional parenting is we are all perfect as parents.
Right. We are talking about parenting right here on Therapy Tuesday with Dr. Geraldine Tan. Up next, OTT with a cover of that Air Supply classic, All Outta Love, only right here on 1FM 91.3.
We love our out of love.
It's a pretty good version, A good cover, I have to say.
It is a very good cover.
Okay, so anyway, carry on. FD? Right.
No, so we were talking about not breaking promises because that's important, and guiding your children as they grow up. The guidance I feel is very, very important.
That's true. Broken promises, but sometimes it is very difficult to keep the promise because of circumstances. So it's tough, but we do our best, and parents always do their best. And I like the fact that FD referred to his parents because most of the time that is the largest template or the first template of parenting that we know. So I'm going to jump into expectations. What expectations do our parents have of us?
Wow.
Because that informs how we think, how we behave, right? So we are the parents and we teach our children. So we need to think, who are our teachers? What did they teach us?
To be good, responsible people. And I think for most parents, I think that is what they hope their children will grow up to be. Right? Shaun?
Yeah, Shaun.
My mother expected me to be a doctor, but the closest thing that came from that was my handwriting. So I don't think expectations were met there.
Well, at least you got one part of being a doctor. I've seen your white coat
And my stethoscope.
and your stethoscope.
No, but don't you think? I mean, I'm listening to what Glenn said about this. Our parents wanted us how our parents wanted us to grow up, and that's what every parent wants for their child. But it's also how you put that point across.
Yep.
You can make it very forceful and very intimidating for the child,
Easily.
and then you don't achieve what you want.
Yep.
Probably
So-
many times, yeah.
It is true. So with the expectations, you have the words, you see. So we have the good intention that, most parents have at that point in time, but the delivery can be very different. So I like the fact that Shaun says, his parents wanted him to be a doctor. Now, my Shaun, next time you and I can practice writing together.
No,
I
I'm
always
scared.
I give everyone a headache with my handwriting, But the expectations and the weight of being that doctor, Shaun, how was that for you?
Confusing, because on one hand I know that being a doctor requires a lot of like study and being able to understand things, but like my academic life was never a focus for me or my parents. Yeah, it was all about like being a good kid, doing well, being nice to people, and then like when you got time lah. You can study, you study.
But that's kind of strange, don't you think? I mean, it's strange that his parents didn't emphasize on, studies. On one hand, they wanted him to be a doctor, but they didn't guide him along.
They threw me the dictionary and said, "Nah, go memorize." Then I give up.
But did your parents really
No, I think
feel
No lah,
that
they
you-
like, yeah, you study hard, but I passed all my exams. I did well in school, so that to them that was okay. Yeah, wait, we gotta come back on air now.
Okay.
OTT, All Out of Love, the acoustic version right here on 1FM 91.3. Good times, greatest hits. Hope you enjoyed that one. We are live on Facebook, and while that song was being played, we were talking about the fact that Shaun's parents wanted him to be a doctor, but then he mentioned he was never really took his studies to that level.
Yeah.
In terms of achieving the goal of becoming a doctor.
Yes.
And your parents didn't push you. They didn't exactly guide you along. So
They didn't put that kind of pressure and that kind of stress on me. Like I know some friends of mine who like went into medicine, and like the way their parents forced them like to study, like they can't come out and play because
Right.
they're at home studying. They have to revise. They spend the nights in studying. And my parents are always like, yeah, go and play when you are ready. Come back for dinner. That kind of thing. Like as long as you do your homework, you actually go to school and you pass your exams, they were okay with me. Yeah,
You see,
so I
this
didn't
is
have that kind of
I
pressure.
I don't know whether your parents and myself are very much the same. Like I always told my children, you can only do the best that you can do.
yeah, but you never told your kids to be doctors.
No, I never
this
did.
is what I mean, you see.
I wanted them to do whatever they wanted to do. So, and they could only do the best that they could do. So when it came time for, say, pre-university, with one of my daughters anyway, she said, she made a deal with me. She said, I'll try it for 1 year. If it doesn't work, then you let me do what I want to do. Because I knew she always wanted to be a makeup artist. Always. But I said, you go and try pre-university first. She didn't make pre-U, she made poly. So the same rules applied. 1 year, see if it works. At the end of 1 year, she came to me and she said, look, this is not working. I can't take this pressure. Just take a look at my grades. And the grades were not great. So we let her go out and do what she wanted to do. And now she's running her own department. So she has grown. But it's that gamble that I was willing to take. And many parents said, you're just very lucky. She could have fallen flat on her face with nothing to back her up.
I could never be a parent like that. No way.
I think it's going back to the expectations. What do we really expect of our children? You know, I like the way Shaun said, just be that good kid, being nice, having, integrity, honesty, being upright. So those, if we think and we ask our parents, that's all that they want us to be. So they even if we are not like the king and queens, or we are not top of our game, they will still love us anyways. But when we communicate that to them as they're growing up, as they go through the rigor of the academic career in Singapore especially, we forget. We really forget. And we keep thinking, what's the bell curve? What's the highest marks in class for this test? And we forget, right? We play into that whole game. And we forget that all we want them to do is to be happy.
Yeah, that is so very true. Jerry, I just want to read a comment from someone that's on our Facebook page. Her name is Eileen, and she says, "Thanks, Jerry. What you said just saved my life. It made me realize that I've been self-sabotaging my mindset. Thanks. It came at the right exact moment."
Oh, so sweet. Thank you. And I hope you spread that more to more people.
See, that's why we have you here, Jerry, to save lives. Because some people are going, insane because they don't have the solutions. They don't have anyone to talk to, And so listening in, I'm so happy that that something positive has come out of our Therapy Tuesday.
Yay!
That's great. That's awesome.
I think, I really enjoy the experience here. I really love the conversations that we have. And I'm glad that it touched people. Yeah. And parenting is something that is so close and so dear, right? Because I work with so many children and parents. And I have to mention, like, during the circuit breaker, oh my gosh, during the HBL, the home-based learning, parents were tearing their hair out, and they were like, oh dear, how do teachers actually do this? I've got 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, okay, maybe 5 kids. And, I'm suffering. And how do the teachers with 40 children do it?
Exactly. I mean, Andre pulled all his hair out.
Yeah.
So everybody should. There you go. Poor
Evidence.
guy. Poor guy.
Evidence.
It is 8:18.
1FM time check.
It's very interesting, Jerry, because we've been talking about how our parents are the template for us. And Frida brought up a very interesting, we all know Frida, she's a regular participant on our show. She said, I didn't have any template. I had to create my own with my kids. And that must be a lot more difficult than for those of us who had something to base it on.
Yes, it is very, very tough when you don't have a template. But because you don't have a template, you're free to create anything that, your own expectation. And I'm sure Frida is a wonderful mother that fills her children and her home with love. Yeah.
Frida is hilarious.
What too?
Frida is hilarious. You follow her on Facebook. She's hilarious. I love
hilarious.
her. I love her. She's just hilarious.
I must go and see.
You should.
But then we go with the words that she used, right? So Frida can share some of the words that you use, because the words that we use also allows the children to internalize. So we had our parents telling us. So now what we tell our children become very, very important. And I think, I think some people can resonate with this, where you hear some parents say, you're so stupid, you're so dumb, you're an idiot, or, or the opposite, you're so cute, you're so beautiful, you're so clever. No one better than the other, but, with a lot of repetition, and children learn things with repetition. So if you keep repeating that, they will buy into it. If someone is being told that he or she is so beautiful and so cute, he or she would start to aspire to hold on to that title. And that becomes very dangerous during the teenage years. I think last week we were talking about the teens, where they still want to hold on to that association. And I don't think you can call a teenage boy cute, or you can, but cute means something else when they're younger, or the girl that starts to have acne, and she feels that, oh no, but I need to be beautiful. Yeah, and that's where the body image issues come in also. Yeah.
Right.
Parenting is so vast, I don't. Sometimes, when I just listen to you, today I'm just so consumed, I just don't even know where to. You don't even know where to start.
And you can't back out. That's the thing.
No, but you see, as a parent, that is a thought. I don't know.
I would like the option to be able to back out.
Got a 30-day trial. No?
You send them for some kind of school, some kind of boarding school. That's how you back out at like 10 or something.
I have a Jack Russell Terrier, which is the closest thing I have to a naughty boy. And when I've had enough of him, that's it. He goes to my father-in-law's house. He goes to grandpa.
He goes to grandpa.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's because he's a dog. You can't quite do that with your child.
But you know what? You'll be surprised. Do you know how many people I know
many.
who leave their kids with their grandparents and only collect them at the end of the week?
Yes.
Yes, that is because you are double income parents who don't have the time for the children. So they need that family environment, which is why they're with the grandparents.
But that is highly unnatural. Traffic, FD.
All right. Alrighty, let's take a look at this traffic situation. Usual delays across the expressways, the TPE towards the SLE, vehicle broken down after Jalan Kayu, KPE towards the ECP, accident at Buangkok Drive entrance, SLE towards the CTE, accident at the TPE PIE exit as well. Stay within the speed limit, have everyone buckled up, be safe as you drive today.
Good morning, Singapore. It's Glenn and the Flying Dutchman. So back to what I was talking about, because early on we were talking about parenting and this and that, right? And then, I just brought up the fact that there are some parents, and you mentioned, FD, that these are parents who are both working parents. They leave their kids with their parents for the entire week and only bring them back home over the weekends.
Yeah.
So, what does this do to the psyche of the child, Jerry?
Interesting.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. It takes a village to raise a child, as we all know. And, grandparents are blessings in our lives. I laugh because my dad is going to fetch my kids afterwards. So I have to say the right thing. No, I'm just kidding. I really love them. Because if we put them with our parents, it tells us that we buy into their mode of upbringing or their method of upbringing, and we want that to continue. Sometimes we don't do it too well. Like my dad would teach my little kids, they're not little anymore, but my kids, math. I can do math, but, I can't teach math. So I'm going to leave it to the expert to do that, right? And grandma is good with crafts. So the children are exposed to all the creativity and all the craft work, and I have not a creative bone in me. So grandparents can take that, and you see the children enjoy that diverse and the spectrum of it, but we also need to moderate expectations. So where grandparents will go, oh, you become a doctor, okay? Just like what Shaun's parents tell him. Then we go, they can be whatever they want. They just have to study and put in effort, and we then impart that value to the children. And children are very intelligent. So they know who the bosses are at home. So they know daddy, mommy are the bosses. So they will still listen because they want to oblige the parents.
But if you're putting your kids with the parents, as Glenn says, and I'm just thinking about this,
As in
you
for the
not
whole
only-
week, lah. As in for the whole week,
yeah.
right?
You not only have to buy into the way your parents brought you up, don't you have to be using the same kind of system so that when they come back on the weekends, they're not jarred by a completely different system?
That is something many parents struggle with. But if you hear many of these parents who do that, they find it really tough. It is a very tough decision for them because they are exhausted. They have no more bandwidth. And that is the best option for them to leave the children there at the grandparents' place, because whatever parenting they do during the weekday, if they do bring the children back, would not be good parenting. So in their eyes. So for them, the good parenting would be to leave them with the grandparents. And that would be much healthier, in terms of the physical health and mental health for the children. And it's sad because some parents say, I finished work so late, one. Two, I have to tapao food, I have to have order takeaways. I can't cook for them. And my mood is very bad when I get home. So I'm just screaming at the children. So they are better off with the grandparents who can give them 100% attention.
Right. What have you got to say to parents who do that and who are feeling really crappy about it? Because I think we've got to think about parents like that. It's not that they want to leave their kids with the grandparents for the entire week, but they have absolutely no choice, and they're feeling guilt-ridden. And do you have any positive words for this group of people?
Yeah. For these parents that are putting in so much love and so much effort, do not negate that. Don't discount that, because you love your children and therefore you do what you're doing at this point. So acknowledge the love, acknowledge the care. You just express it differently. There's the weekend that you can spend with your children, and allow yourself to spend it as how you want without the guilt. So I don't want the guilt to kind of override the entire weekend. Yes,
Jerry, do you ever feel that it's very Asian parenting? Because our Western friends and parents from, we have cousins in Australia and the US. First of all, they don't have the parental help. Because, when they work, they travel interstate. And also, my cousins who live in Australia, the parents are working and they find ways to cope. And they always find us living in Singapore, a lot more spoiled with our options, because we have the grandparents, we have the helpers, and they just look at us and just say, you guys are a bunch of spoiled parents. And that's how they see a lot of us, is that just we are spoiled. Because like what you said, right? Sending it to the parents or the grandparents is a very convenient and easy solution. But my cousins in the US and Australia, they don't have that option. So when they go back, they still have to cook. They still have to look after the children. There's no such thing as another avenue.
Just based on what you mentioned, they are saying about us, just goes to show that they are jealous.
For sure. How can they not be?
They're extremely
I don't
envious.
understand. I don't understand
And
why
bitter.
a couple. I don't understand why a couple with children in Australia still can't have the children go to the grandparents' house.
Fair
No.
income.
Sometimes they work in another state. So they can't just go. It's same like the US. A lot of their jobs take them to other states. So you don't have your parents.
Then I disagree. I don't believe we're spoiled. We're
Yeah.
just living in a smaller island than theirs.
That's right, man. sticks and
That's
stones.
all.
No? Sticks and stones.
No. So spoiled,
Stones, eh?
spoiled. That doesn't always mean negative, right? Spoiled, you can be spoiled for options. So we have the grandparent option, we have the helper option, we have the
No, but
Okay.
they said that we are spoiled.
Yeah,
so
spoiled.
So you ended it right there, which means it's negative.
That is
Negative,
true,
lah.
Some of my cousins do tell me, hey, you're damn spoiled. I can't believe the options that you have.
Your cousins are so mean.
I don't blame them. Lah.
Yeah.
We are quite spoiled.
Anyway, it is the 11th of August.
1FM. Day check by Sleep Nights. Sleep.
Andrea is trying to make them look good.
No, not really. But I mean, sometimes I do look back and feel that we do have.
They're just
options.
envious, lah.
They
They're
do.
envious.
They are envious, and I don't blame them. You know.
Okay, but here's the question though. We send our kids to our parents to look after. At what point should that stop?
When one person gives up his or her job, lah. Wait, hold on. Sean has something. Sean.
No, on this point of letting grandparents take care of the kids, right? Because my parents, both of them worked. So I grew up with my grandfather. And he, like, after school, I'll go home. And he just falls asleep the whole time. Like, I have never seen him awake. The only time I seen him awake is him sweeping the floor. And he can sweep, like, one place of the floor, like, for 3 hours. I don't know. Like, that's his deal, lah. Right? So I was raised on The Simpsons and the Discovery Channel. And look how I turned out. So, parents, you're doing great.
Okay, so our dearest friend Frida says, that's why there's sacrifice. You come home moody, that's why your kids are at your parents' place. That's unfair to the kids, she says. And exactly, Andre, it should not be an option to put the kids away when parents have pockets of time to spare for them. So, but I think what she's saying is, if once you're a parent, you can't just take easy exits.
Okay, I understand that, but tell me if I'm not correct here, Jerry. Even the HDB is helping you with that. You know how when you buy a flat close to your parents, you get the discounts.
It's not a discount, it's a grant.
It's a grant, lah. It's not a discount, it's a grant. It just goes to show I didn't have parents staying anywhere near HDB, so I didn't get any of the grants. Yeah, it's a grant. So that's so that you can keep the unit together so that the grandparents can help out.
Yeah.
Now, I have a neighbor whose kids stay maybe 10-minute walk from us, but the children are with the grandparents, as Glenn said, 5 days a week, and on the weekends they go back to the parents' house. But every evening, the parents come around for an hour and a half. Because they're 10 minutes away. So we are helping in that area. So it's not to say, am I right? So it's not to say that these children are going to be abandoned to the grandparents all week.
No. So we are not abandoning the children. The mindset is very, very different. It's the whole village to raise the children mentality. It takes that community to kind of build the community itself. Right, so even like carpooling, simple things like carpooling. So put the grandparents aside. You know, we can have first world problems and say, why can't the parent, take the child to school every single day? They can bond in with the child. But we have the community to come in and say, let's rotate to relieve each parent, from that responsibility, and they have a little bit more time to kind of do their own things. And the children are exposed to a diverse parenting style, the uncles, the aunties. And sometimes it's not grandparents that look after the children, it's a neighbor that looks after the children. And it is a very Asian concept. I agree with Andre. It is a very Asian concept, that kampong spirit.
I think it's all well and good if things go smoothly.
Yes, and if the parents don't feel like they're abused.
Yeah.
Also, the grandparents feel that I've done my part. I looked after you. I never had this option of giving it to my parents or something like that. So Candy here says, on weekend, kids will never be close to their parents. I was one of them. And I am now, I'm not sure what she means, but she says, and I am now a SAHM. I think that's probably a typo, or the same, because I want my kids to be close to me, and it is never the same.
I think, that's not difficult to understand, because I think if you're leaving the kid full time with either
5
grandparents
days a week.
or your, as you mentioned, the village, right? And you only see your kids over the weekend, that happens. I mean, the possibility of that happening is real. So what do you think about that, Jerry?
Stand by, we do traffic first and then we do this on.
Okay, hold on.
And I need to plug in my computer.
91.3 traffic.
All right, let's take a look at that traffic situation. Usual delays across the expressways. The BKE towards the PIE, an accident after Mandai Road exit. MCE towards the KPE, vehicle broken down after the ECP Changi exit. KJE towards the PIE, vehicle broken down at the PIE Changi exit. KPE towards the ECP, an accident at Buangkok Drive entrance. SLE towards the CTE, accident at the TPE PIE exit. Please stay within the speed limit. Have everyone buckled up. Be safe as you drive today.
Good morning, Singapore. It's Glenn and the Flying Dutchman, and we have with us Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room. She's with us every Tuesday for Therapy Tuesday. You just had an SMS from, or rather, someone on our Facebook page, Candy, who says she's not close to her parents because she used to stay with her caretakers for the entire week, and her parents used to just collect her over the weekend.
So this is what so Frida helped me understand what SAHM is stay-at-home mom. So she said weekend kids will never be close to their parents, and I was one of them. And I'm now a stay-at-home mom because I want my kids to be close to me, and it is never the same. So basically what Candy is saying, that she sacrificed her career so that because she doesn't want her kids to go through what she did.
Just like your wife sacrificed her career as well to take care of the kids.
So, Jerry, is this true? Kids that stay with their grandparents like that, they're not as close to their parents as
not necessarily just grandparents, IFD. So let's talk about caretakers.
Caretakers.
Yes. Unfortunately, in the past, many parents, when they are weekend parents only, they are ridden with guilt. They're exhausted. They during the week they don't take the opportunity to rest well. So at the end of the week, when they fetch their children back, thinking that they don't need to work, they feel exhausted, they feel resentful, they feel guilty. So they can't effectively parent. So essentially, it still occurs. They some of the parents are on their phones all the time, or are sleeping all the time. So there's no bonding to happen.
Right.
Effective parenting can occur if, let's say, you understand why you're putting your children with the caregiver during the weekdays. Yeah, so it is true, and I'm really, really sorry to hear Candy, going through that, but sometimes the connection doesn't mean that, you need to be there every single day. I would encourage parents to be there. Don't get me wrong. I love to have my children with me every day and with me at the center if they can. But sometimes it is not available to some parents, and we cannot fault them.
Yeah.
That's true. So Mark Roche has another story to share, which I think is nice. I was partly brought up by my grandparents as I lived in Sembawang but studied in Siglap. It made more sense to stay with them at Jalan Eunos. So I think I benefited from that as I received grooming, which I would not have received living with my parents. So probably his parents were working and he couldn't have received such good grooming from his grandparents.
I just want to say my mom gave up her career as well to look after my brother and myself.
Yeah.
They tried to give it a go, as in like my father and my mom were both working. And so they engaged at that time an ama to take care of me. A maid. Before they used to call
ama,
Chinese maids ama. Right? And unfortunately it didn't work out because every time, and I mean obviously I don't remember this because I was still a baby, my mom would come back home at the end of the day and I would have bumps all over my head.
Oh my.
Because according to my mom, this ama would take a nap in the afternoon and I would roll off the bed and fall and hit my hit my head. And this happened a few times, and finally she said no. She can't trust this person, and she would never trust another person to take care of her kids, and so she quit her job and she became a full-time homemaker.
Stay-at-home mom.
And now we understand why you are the way you are.
One fall too many.
I've always been horrible, right, at mathematics. So my mom would always, whenever I bring home my report card and all that, I do really badly for my math. She would always think back to the time I hit my head, and she would always say, "You see, this is the reason why your math is so poor because you used to fall off the bed and hit your head and stuff like that." So I think she's feeling guilty, right?
Oh dear, but you turn out just fine.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank
So
you, Jen.
you can feel all okay now.
I do. Go ahead, Andre.
One
and
of
then
our
I've got a
friends is
question for
asking Jerry. Jerry, Vidya Ram says, what do you say to single moms though?
Say in what sense?
I guess they're
Different?
saying about single moms not being able to be there for their kids all the time. So
Well, they have it even tougher, huh?
what do you say to single moms who have to kind of let their kids stay with their parents or their helpers all day because it's just single income with no choice?
Yeah. I always tell all these parents, right? They are doing the best they can at any given point in time with the circumstances that they have. So they need to be kind to themselves.
Right. I think single parents are, really special, really extraordinary as well. Because, you talk about parents having it difficult already. When you're a single parent, wow, that pressure. And I think for when we say single parents, we're talking about, a parent who doesn't have the other half, in the picture at all. Because, we do have, parents who are divorced, and they still share that responsibility and take care of the children. But if we're talking about a single parent, wow, that is really, really tough. And you got to be a very special person to actually keep everything together. So, I think if you're a single parent and you're tuned in right now and you find things, really, really tough, who can blame you, right? And we just hope that things will get better, for you.
Absolutely, Jerry. Couple of questions. I just want your comment on it. It's something that I did with my kids. I have never suggested anyone do it, but I did start this with them when they were about, I don't know whether it was too young. They were about 15. I've always been a parent, who has never been afraid to say sorry. I think parents don't say it enough, quite honestly. When they will admit making a mistake, but they'll never apologize for making the mistake. And I think it's important that you apologize. And I've never had that problem. And I've always told and I started at 15, and I've told my kids over and over and over again until they got married, look at what mommy and daddy do. And if it's wrong, learn so that you don't make the same mistakes. Is that something you would tell a child?
You started when they were 15 years old? Or
Yeah, 15
old?
No, 15 years old. Yeah, 15 years old.
It's brilliant what you did, and I'm going to just tell all the parents out there and parents to start when they are 0 years old, from day one.
Wow.
Yes. Because to fail is human, and you're having a human baby. So it is okay to apologize and say sorry, because we make mistakes all the time. And I do that too. So air high five.
All right. It's been nice talking about parenting and all that. Although I mean, I'm not a parent myself, and neither is Shaun. But we've
Don't worry,
learned
Glenn.
something.
We hold out hope. We hold out hope.
No. I already said no. Hold on, I'm too old already.
Step out.
Here's something that I genuinely feel you need to be. For those parents right now contemplating having kids, and I'm sure we've heard this over and over again. Have them while you're young. There is a reason for that. There seriously is a reason, because it takes up a lot of your energy. I can't, for the life of me, imagine raising a kid right now. I don't think I'll have that energy, really, and patience as well, But if you're young, and you're thinking of having a kid, do it. Do it.
Well said, Glenn Ong.
You hear that, Shaun?
Huh? What? Sorry? I think we got no time. We need to play this song now. Boom,
Thank
clap,
you
boom,
so
clap.
much for being with us, Jerry. Thank you very much.
No worries. And to all the parents out there, remind yourself that you're a good enough parent.
Absolutely. Hang in there, all right? Everything is going to be all right. Thank you, Dr. Geraldine Tan
No
from the
worries.
therapy room. Thank you so much.
See all of you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.